Good afternoon, everybody. I wish I could clap that loudly by myself. I mean, it's more of an honor for me to be back here, where I received some of my most important training back in the 1800s. A lot has changed, but it all looks like it was original. I mean, it's really uncanny how beautifully they've renovated the grounds and all the halls and everything, and put on additions to the space. Before I do or say anything else, I would like to acknowledge that my residency here is supported so generously by the Dorothy and Richard Starling Foundation. I am incredibly grateful for their support, as we all are. And this afternoon's masterclass is dedicated to the Colburn Foundation. So this is a very special thing for me as well personally. I teach at the Colburn School down in Los Angeles, and also when I was a teenager, I was the beneficiary of a loaned Carl Becker cello from the foundation. So they've inspired me to begin my own foundation, because my wife wants me to start getting rid of my 15 instruments that I have. So, they're not quite to the level of the Colburn Foundation instruments, but so far I've let go of 2. I'm a little bit, but I think it's going to work. Anyway, so without further ado, I think we should introduce our first victim today, who is Jonah Krolik, everybody. Welcome, Jonah. And nice to see you. So you're going to do 2 movements of Bach, Prelude and Sarabande to the Suite Number 2 in D minor. Bravissimo. Now, I think you just gave me the lesson in Bach. It was really, talk about casting a spell over your audience, which is exactly what we want to do, is draw the audience in to our world, to Bach's world, what we're doing. I still believe in certain philosophies of, like, say, Pablo Casals, who, if he were coming from, let's say, let me choose an upper auxiliary note. He's coming from the upper note already. But if you're doing this for the second time, perhaps maybe placing the emphasis on two by being soft instead of loud, you know. So maybe the first time, which I'm assuming that was your first time, you didn't want to, or maybe you don't repeat the second part.
I didn't. Sometimes I do, but I didn't think.
Not incredibly sure. Yeah. No, it's great. The only real criticism I have is that it could have a little more swing to it, and perhaps a little bit more. Like, let what wants to move, and let what wants to sit for a little bit, sit. It should be a subtle difference, but I think it makes a massive difference when it comes to our expressive voice. Okay. So can you try just a little bit of the opening? And I opened your music because I wanted to see how it might resemble mine, because you and I used the same August Benzinger edition, and that guy knew what he was talking about when it came to fingerings and bowings. He based them largely, I think, on the violin sonatas and partitas, and also looking at the three extant, the Westphal, the Anna Magdalena, and the third one is the Kellner. There is no original Bach manuscript. So in a way, it's open season. We can do whatever we want. But I reached that conclusion pretty early in life, and then realized, that's a little irresponsible. I think I need to do a little bit more homework. So it's more challenging for cellists, I think, to come up with a cogent, like, interpretation, or as I like to say, like Gunther Schuller said, realization. Because there's really nothing to interpret. You're realizing what's on the page and what's in between the notes. So there's a wonderful book by Gunther Schuller, bless his soul, called Musings, that every serious musician should read, and every serious music lover should read. And it puts a lot of today's arguments on their heads. And it's a wonderful book. But anyway, back to Bach. I'm wondering, too, if you could sustain just a bit more on the melodic. And they need not be metronomically. They don't have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, dum, but you can stylize a little bit. I would say, whenever a student comes to me and plays an exaggerated version, like, I just say, you know what? I know what you're trying to do, but just think it, and it should be enough. So if you're... just so it's enough, just enough. It doesn't need to be more than that. You don't have to make too much of a statement. Let Bach shine through you. And you're already doing that magnificently. It's very beautiful what you're doing. I'm trying to think, can we hear the ending one more time? Can we go from... And humor me and start the trill on the F. Even sit on it, just Good. Now, there's another example of a... If that could be somehow a little bit more connected to this sonority, and then if you decide to end it softly, you need not play it too metronomically. Little judicious rubato. That last time I like to go up the D string. I don't care who hates it. That's how I feel it. And I like to, if I happen to end up on an up bow, well, oh well. Let it evaporate into nothing. If you could silence your cell phones, that would be appreciated. Anyway, so do you want to try that one last time? And then I want to do some things in the prelude.
No, what did you say?
Remember what we talked about with flat hair yesterday? It's very difficult to play portato. And I know I do plenty of it myself too, but when I catch myself, I'm like, ugh, okay, I can't do that. Take your time. The piece is over. Here, then. But without the hiccup in between. You've got us all right here. Okay, when you do that. Yeah, that's an absolutely beautiful thing. And look, I'm very fond of saying there are 1,000,001 wrong ways to play Bach. Mine is just one of those. So I'm sure I said this at your lesson the other day. Yesterday or 2 days ago? Days all run together here. The sort of spat that Casals and Landowska got into. Wanda Landowska was a famous harpsichordist. And Landowska said, well, you play Bach your way. I'll play Bach his way. No more haughty words ever came out of a person's mouth. I mean, there are 1,000,000 wrong ways to play things. Hers was just one of them. Okay, there are well-informed ways to play Bach. There are ill-informed ways to play Bach. I mean, you could shave have a mohawk. I can't do that. I mean, I could have a bald mohawk, but and then play, hooked up to an amplifier. That would be one way of playing them. But, I think the idea is not to entertain the audience. It's to draw them into this special, rarefied world that only this type of music is capable of doing. And in the prelude, I'm imagining, if you want to keep that 3 feeling going, instead of lapsing into a 6, I would, make the first gesture a little bit more, whether you use vibrato or not. I mean, you could be done. I don't care if you do this. I mean, you can do it this way if you want. You can. Sorry, my legs aren't long enough to play this beast. I mean, you need not worry about playing too little, because you've got a long way to build in this piece. And you did it well, but I think that your range was here when it can be here. Especially when you're Neapolitan land. Off a little. I would not have too much visual noise going on there. Let that chord linger in the air without any distractions, visual or otherwise. Okay, let's start at the beginning one more time. I know we're running a little bit close to schedule there, but thinking you've got from here to here. Okay. But I find that you're using 2 of the same, almost the same type of peppercorns in your recipe. Like I know that might not be the best the best analogy, but I hear a little too much expressive intonation going on. Now, if it happens naturally without you attempting to play too much, what happens to the purity of that interval? It gets torn asunder. You know, you want as pure. You don't want. You have to be careful because, you know, I think that the horizontal is one thing, but it also has to line up with the vertical. So you have to play it as though, in fact, I'm going to accompany you while you play the first few bars. cello is that your thirds are actually, your minor thirds should be a little bit higher. You shouldn't only rely on your vibrato to raise or lower a note. Remember when we talked about doing drones? That will fix the problem.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying it's a problem. It's you're tantalizingly close to having it just in the pocket. You know, it's in the pocket, but there's the glove is in the pocket, but you got two fingers sticking out. So I mean, it's almost there. It's almost there. It's just there are, in my mind, a couple of things get in the way, and honestly, at the very end. Whatever you want on those chords. I think, you know, maybe they're shorthand, maybe they're not. Bach's not around to ask. So you have to study certain other works of his in order to get a definitive answer. But congratulations on holding us in the palm of your hand. I mean, despite some of the things that I think could draw us in even more and say, wow, that guy is a master. And Bach shone through him. He was the prism through which Bach shone. And they heard Bach through you, you know. And you didn't go too far. You placed Bach here, and you were here. You were his instrument. Does that make sense? Okay. I think we have to move on now. I wish we had more time, but bravo. Thinking, I bet I'm not going to see a single note that doesn't have a marking on it. That's exactly what my part looks like. It's so funny. Thank you. How are we doing with the... Uh-oh. Oh, did it fall? Oh, no! Well, I swore them was during that. I'm so sorry. Do you think they got anything? Okay. So I guess we have some Chopin Sonata next, played by, let me see if I don't massacre your name, Najet Abu El Hadi. Okay, welcome. And your pianist, Donghui Park.
Yes.
And I think we need a chair for the page turner somewhere. You can use mine if you want. And I'll just manage. If you don't mind me standing while I can just crouch or something. Is there an extra chair down there somewhere that I can I can borrow? That's great. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Put it down. Thanks so much. Okay. So you're playing the first movement? Great. Bravo. Congratulations. Beautiful job, both of you. Wonderful, evocative, gorgeous, gorgeous playing. You know, it's funny, we have to keep in mind, though, when this piece was written, the piano was a different beast, and the cello was a slightly different beast. Okay, we didn't generally use steel strings. We did exist. Oops, I'm off again. Offline. I will fix that, I think, I hope. How is this? Does that work? Is that good? Okay, I'm not going to blast anybody out of the room. Okay. But I don't believe Chopin had a Steinway D from Hamburg, or New York, or I can't remember. Is this a Hamburg or Steinway, or New York? It's New York. Well, still, it's just New York, you know. But so I think that has to be taken into mind, especially in a sonata like this, where it's just that the stacks are decked against the deck is stacked against you, and I think that particularly when you are playing in a similar register, like at least within a fourth, that you need to take it easy on Nanette. It's Nanette, right? Najette. Sorry. And I believe, like even right off the bat, if you could, because like once you've played your opening tune, and I think that don't you do something with it? I think you switch to the A string. I would stay on the D unless I know it's hard to resist that. But if you do that, I think you should go all the way with it. Personally, I mean, that's what I think. But wherever Najette is on the cello, you have to be sensitive to that and make sure that you're not overwhelming her. This is a lesson I learned early on when I was just 17. I had my first coaching with Jeffrey Kahane. And I was playing the Beethoven 7 variations. And even in the very first chord, you have... And the piano doubles that chord. And he screamed at the pianist saying, no, almost don't play that chord, that note in the chord. So I think that, to a degree, applies here. Because, we've got, an unfair playing field. Now, I like the fact that you're sitting there so you can hear yourself, so you're not in the tidal wave of the sound that would be coming at you. And but I went back there and I could hear you just fine. But just fine is not quite good enough. I want to be able to hear you on equal footing. So that means when you are playing with Najette, you must play a little bit less. You have to contain your emotional feeling just a little bit more if you can. I know that in performance, you tend to let loose and things happen. But am I still here? Yeah. Okay. If you can do that for us, I think containing it can even make it sound more intense. So why don't we start again from the beginning? And when you start I think you can you can take a lot more time when you do that. And then when you come in with your now everybody yells at me because I like harmonics too much, but I'm like, you know what? I like harmonics. So what? It's a string instrument. It has harmonics. I like to exploit them. So but how you get into the harmonic is different. You don't. Then it sounds like I'm anti-accent. So you know what I mean? Let's start again from the top. careful, Najat, be careful that maybe if you decide to do this, I'm not saying this is gospel, you know. There are 1,000,001 ways to do it, okay? Wrong ways to do it. So there's no right way to do it. There's no right way to do anything. So but I'll tell you this, if you keep the vibrato going in between the notes, if you do that, or sorry, then it will be more attractive, I think. So let's try right where you come in. Da-da-dum. Beautiful. Now, if you're going to play those two open strings, you better give us a good reason why you're going to do that. You better change the sound, okay? Because otherwise, I'm going to give a big red X on that, okay? I don't usually bring a red pencil to concerts, but I have one in my head. Okay, right there. Yeah, da, 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 How about, I'm sorry to be so picky. If you can keep the whole mechanism moving rather than vibrating just when it's convenient. And a little Fournier can't hurt. I mean, you don't have to imitate him all the time like I do, but badly. I think it's a little bit too. It needs a little more cayenne pepper. Okay? Yeah. Right there, one more time. Okay, you're decrescendoing through these. There's where your advantage is. You can have an advantage over a piano like that. So try with all your might to do that. And also, I'm not hearing a difference in the sound. Maybe that could be the nadir of the. To justify the open strings, okay? You don't. Right now, they just sound a little bit ordinary, okay? And you're not an ordinary cellist, okay? I'm so sorry, I can't. I know everyone's habit, but make sure you pick one over the other because this doesn't add up to me. You know, I would be more judicious in the fingering choices. Okay? Right there. Yadam badam. Very good. What about since you've got the Goliath over here? Yeah. What if you played that on the A string? You know, I think you can do it. There's a strat inside that cello. There is. There is, okay? There's another strat inside this strat, okay? But you have to practice to get to it. You have to feed it what it wants. You have to feed it the right vibrations, okay? Now you can't feed it something that just feels right where your finger goes. You know, concentrate on your hand shape. Concentrate that you're doing this and not this, because pressing the back of the neck is the enemy of the tension of the arm and the shoulder, and it goes all the way down your lower back. So not that I'm noticing a lot of tension you're playing, but just be careful and you pay attention to every small detail that you do. Because every time that you take the cello out of the case, whether you're screwing around with your friends and playing, chamber music and just having a good time, or you're practicing scales, it counts. Or you're an orchestra and you don't want to be there. Okay? All right? Listen, I've been in an orchestra for 300,000 years, and I never want to be there. I mean, sometimes I want to be there when there's a great guest conductor on the podium, but when I am there and I'm enjoying myself, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. But you have to make sure that you are not honing bad habits when you are playing, okay? So make sure that you pay attention to everything you do. Because from here on out, everything counts. Everything, okay? With that heavy thought in mind, let's go on. Let's go on to just before that cadence there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 before A. 5 before 1. Sorry to stop. Okay, sorry to stop. Okay, you could do a little schmuckadorus. You have more time than you think. You can encourage him to play slow, even softer. Can you and I play bar before ba da da? It's before ya. So the bar before that. So. There, I would make that an event. that big suspension, that appoggiatura that you have, okay? A, or you don't have letters, so you go da 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 dum. You go right from there. I'm not hearing it. I want to hear. Even if you think it's the grossest thing in the world, I want slide on the beat. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I don't want to just see it. Okay. Flatten the bow hair. That will give you more. That will give you more sound. Okay. What if you did this? As an option. Just give yourself like 10 options, and then you'd pick and choose. This is Aldo Paraso talking. This is not me. Paraso used to say, you must have 12, 15 options to play from. I mean, I've only got 5 fingers, you know, but it's like, you know. You know, when you practice, you have to have an imaginary garbage can sitting next to you. And it's like, you know, okay, no, that goes in the garbage can. So, or, okay, that's basura. That's out. That's garbage. I think that's actually quite beautiful if you can pull it off. Let's try that one more time. To move on, unfortunately. We've got limited time for the class, but I think in general there tend to be so many climaxes in this piece that you have to choose the most important ones that belong to you, okay? And gauge everything else around them and not give everything you have at every single point. You know, Brahms is super guilty of this. And, but I mean, if we did every single climax in Brahms, then it would be, you know, there'd be bloodshed on stage. I think at the end, as you wind down, I promise this will be the last thing. Can we play together from the stretto bar? You and I, okay? The pickup to it. Like really, like those 2 notes that say a tempo should still be a pregnant pause. Should be very, very silent. Okay, absolute silence. So, and I wouldn't actually do the a tempo until the very end. Let's do it one more time. Now this is a rallentando, not a ritenuto. You did a ritenuto. You win. So I think a rallentando would be. And then, bam, bam. It's like you slam the door twice or something. Okay, that's the idea. Can you do the very ending and then we'll move on? rum, rum. Try to use the full bow, tear the cello in half there. You can do it. Yeah, but place the bow. I don't see any splitters on the ground. I would place the bow on the string. Okay? See, look at that bow here. Linda, help! Okay. Let's do the last 3 bars, you and I. Something like that. Very drammatico. Okay. Bravo. Beautiful playing. Congratulations. Gorgeous playing. I love your playing. I love your playing. I hope I can keep playing. Really playing. While we're getting set up for the next contestant in today's Price is Right, could we, if we have any questions from the audience, did I come undone?
I asked if we put it on your other lapel because it makes a little more sense if.
Oh, it does? Okay. It's like I'm. Can you still hear me? Okay. All right. Oh, this thing's been around 333 years. This cello was conceived the year before Bach was conceived. So it's 333 years old this year. So does anybody have any questions in between people here? Yes, ma'am. Could you speak up just a little bit more? I'm so sorry.
How has the breadth and the tone of the cello changed over the years?
That's a really good question. The question was, how has the breadth and the tone of the cello changed throughout the years? It sort of ran parallel to the violin. And they lengthened what's called the bass bar that's inside the instrument. They also changed the neck angle and the style of bridge that we use. So we could handle more downward tension, hence increasing the power of the instrument. The most important innovation was the bow. And the bow, instead of being convex, became concave, giving it a stronger, they call this the camber of the bow, and that gave it its power. And from time to time, we have to go back into the violin making shop and have our bows recambered so they're strong again, and they can bounce and do all those fun things. And this particular bow was made in 1860 by Dominique Picot. And unfortunately, it broke during a Detroit Symphony rehearsal where I was playing Vaughan Williams' Sixth Symphony, which I hope to never play again. And I openly wept in front of the entire orchestra. It was the most horrible moment of my entire life. But except for my first prom date. The other thing that's very, very important, there were several other innovations, materials that connect the strings to the tailpiece, and also the end pin itself. Carbon fiber has proven to be an excellent conductor of sound, and also in many instruments, weight is the enemy. And once we have the right setup for each instrument, instruments are very fickle, so you have to find the absolute right setup for every instrument. It's not a one-size-fits-all proposition. Steel strings have been perhaps as important as the development of the bow as well. Even though I prefer the sound of gut strings to steel, they don't stand a chance against steel in a large hall. And you can make steel strings sound like gut strings if you treat them right, There are also certain rosins that have these ancient magic formulas. And I'm addicted to one of them right now. It's called Andrea. I feel like this is a plug for the company, but they have wonderful, wonderful stuff. So anyway, I think we have one more victim. Elgar Concerto, which is being played by Minji Kim and Ava Nazar on piano. Welcome. Minji, I hope you can teach me a thing or two. I've got to play this next Thursday.
Oh.
University of Maryland. So, let's get that completely out of your way here. Do you need the music at all? No. One second, Minji. do you want to gig next Thursday night? You're showing me how much work I have to do over the next week. Luckily, I'm off, so I've got plenty of time. But I wanted to talk to you about a few pacing things. You know, this piece will forever be associated with mainly one cellist, and we all know who that is, right? Jacqueline Dupre, of course. And she put her stamp so indelibly on this piece that may or may not have been what Elgar had in mind. If you go back and listen to some of the Beatrice Harrison recordings that were made, they're quite different from what she had made. And I find quite a bit closer to the score. Now, there are a lot of places in between, you know. I mean, I'm a Fournier guy. Like, I love Fournier's recording of this piece. I'm probably the only one in the room who loves it. But there's a certain nobility and noblesse to this piece that he brings to it that's less fiery perhaps, but more inward. And that's one thing that I'm missing a little bit in your approach. Like if you were to take the last section, like before the recapitulation of the beginning, if you were to play. If you're playing this, not that I'll be able to do it now, maybe doing something a little different. And bring your audience into you. You don't always have to envelop the audience in this piece. It's written so beautifully for cello and orchestra that the voicings never get in the way of the solo cello. It's utterly magnificent. I mean, it's been said by, I can't remember the music critic who had said it, but that you take a piece by Wagner and you take an instrument out of the orchestration, you don't really miss it that much, because it's doubled somewhere else. But if you remove an instrument from an Elgar orchestration, you hear a hole. Like, it's very obvious, like, where an instrument belongs. So he was very judicious, very careful on how to accompany the solo cello, because it was susceptible to its environment. And he did such a tremendous job. I think that we need to keep a little bit more of the pomp and circumstance within what we do, even whatever the notes are. I better learn these. I have played this piece, but it's been a while, obviously. Let's pick a spot. Can we start at 69, which is 305, where you start your con passione. And don't be bashful here. I mean, bring out your inner Dupre here. I think maybe try to do the shift. The majority of the shift on the new bow. That's good, but crescendo through the shift, so. As though it's the last time you're going to play it. Okay. No, I'm not hearing the. I want to hear schmear, a little schmear. Oh yeah, baby. Yeah.
what they want. Okay, good. This is great, but each set of these eighths has a diminuendo. So he's setting you up for that big downbeat. Sustain all the way to number 3. So sorry. So I'll do the bar before 309. Now you continue. Yeah, let's keep going. Almost. It was like, that's closer. That was a Corvette. I want a Maserati. Here is the part of the concerto where you have saved a little bit of energy throughout the concerto to get to this moment. This is where you have to let it all hang out. Okay? One more time from the da 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 before 70. Not the Ives concerto. I'm just kidding. Okay. It's 1, 2. The pickup to 3. The pickup to 2 before 70. Yeah. Okay, good. Careful. I wanted to talk, but when you practice this, try to release the finger that you're not using at the time. You must add this to your practicing. Your intonation level will rise significantly. It'll be great. By the way, what year is that Becker?
This one?
Yeah, that's a Becker, right? Oh, it's not.
Yes.
It looks exactly like the Becker that was loaned to me. And so it's from the Colburn collection, though, right?
No.
It's not? I must be going senile because it looks exactly like the cello that I had. Anyway, it's probably here at the festival. Anyway, let's see. Let's do that. Pick up to 2 before 70. One more time. Delicious. I am here as a little devil on your shoulder to make you hate your intonation about 2%. Just a little bit, and not trust yourself entirely. You have to. Can you do for me once? Just beat this bar. And don't shift
have to. Don't squeeze the back of the neck with the cello. Just keep the back of the cello very, very gently with your thumb. Watch for 1 second. Watch for this shape. This shape is anathema. It's bad. You don't want this shape when you're playing the cello. You want a C shape. Look at what happens to the curvature of the top of my fingers. These fingers, instead of this. We want this. We want to play a little bit closer to the nail. In fact, I cut my fingernails so close that my callus tends to grow over the nail, which makes it harder and harder to cut my nails. But it works. I have a little bit more padding on the tips of my fingers. And that encourages me to do this and not this. Okay? Already your hand shape is better. Stay in there. Don't play a harmonic. No vibrato. Not a tune. Sorry, I'm spitting on myself. Don't over prepare the shift. Or the extension. D sharp. Yeah. No vibrato. And watch the pitch on the G sharp. It's a little high. Little high. That's it. Do you hear it? Okay, listen to me. That's in tune. That's not in tune. That's not in tune. A minor ninth can sound like a perfect fifth. But it's right in tune with the cello. Now, when you use the lower drum, now there's obviously the upper drum, but for our purposes right now, in order to improve our intonation, this is my half-baked philosophy on vibrato. We have, let's take our G string. The open E, the E natural, absolutely in tune with the G string. Our E natural, without vibrato, is our polished, beautiful hardwood floor, okay? That's our floor. The vibrato is the Persian rug that goes on that floor. Now I know for centuries, teachers have been teaching that we vibrate below the note and to the note. Now, I'm probably upsetting a few people in the room by saying this, but from Jussi Björling to Cat Stevens to Frank Sinatra to Luciano Pavarotti to Pierre Fournier to Janos Starker to even he always vibrated a little bit above the pitch. Jussi Björling, Victoria de Los Angeles, Maria Callas, they all vibrated above the pitch. James Galway vibrates way over the pitch now. But when he was in the Berlin Philharmonic, he didn't. This is another exercise. What's interesting is that if you play that note perfectly in tune with the G string, then you play it with the A string, it's flat, right? So try it. Now with the A string. It's flat. Now adjust it so it's in tune. Okay, what have you just demonstrated? You've demonstrated Minji's basic vibrato motion. That sliver thin area of note in between those drones, the Pythagorean fifth tuning that we have as string players, there is an infinite world of nuance that we can get. You know, we don't need to go outside those margins in order to express. You know, and I think that the more intense that the music gets, the narrower the vibrato gets, not the fatter it gets. And we've been taught for so long to vibrate fat and wide when the music gets intense. And I know it's very controversial. I know a lot of people hang on to that old precept that we have to play faster and wider when the vibrato gets intense. I believe it's the exact opposite, because when we make the oscillations smaller, we can get more of them in. And it's like a kettle of boiling water. You know, it's like the water boils and boils and boils and then wants to go to the next note. So it makes it more inevitable. Like and you can always vary the amount of the vibrato within the long note or the short note. Does that make sense? Okay, am I making sense to at least three of you? I believe very, very strongly with this. This is something I've dissected over a number of years. And I really believe very, very strongly that we've been, listen, I think we've all been saying the same thing, just in a different way. And it looks like the motion is going this way, when in fact it's just the pitch. It's the pitch platform that is changing places. It still looks like I'm going backwards, but I'm still going above the note, but just by a micron, just a little bit. Listen to some singers that do it. Cat Stevens, one of my favorite singers. Yusuf Islam, I think is his name now. Anyway, that is. I'm sorry to go off on this tangent, but I think particularly in this piece, when we have so much of this lyrical playing, we have to be careful not to vibrate around the pitch. So, like. Instead of the D. the A string, which means you're going to be really sharp to the G string. I don't care if the first oboe is sharp. You're right. Okay? One more time. Your bowing in such a way sorry. And what I don't like is this stinger that everybody puts on that. It's supposed to come from nowhere. Etc. Okay? Try one more time. Ninja, can you play with more than 2/3 of your bow hair? Think like a fiddle player. Think like you have to hold the bow a little bit with this part of the fingers touching the top of the stick a little bit, not much. You still have your shock absorbers here. All right? Beautiful. Now, when we get to the largamente, really look at that largamente and treat it as such. Not just adagio come prima, but then, because he doesn't give you that C major chord at the beginning. He gives you, he gives it all to you. I'll get it right the night before I perform it. one more time, and that's it. All your hair. Against the bow. Now, every student that has studied with me has heard me harp on this constantly. Okay, try it. Don't let me try to convince you. Da-da-da, and not triplets. And then the whole bow. Good. It's easier if the bow is set at the last second. And fast. Use it faster. Yeah, that's it. Now, I'm still hearing a little. Ba-da-da. I'm hearing da-da-dum, da-da-dum. It's almost da-da-dum, da-da-dum, ba-da-dum. Yeah, one more time. Yeah, let's do it in context. Dun da dum ba-da-dum 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 ba-da-dum. Yeah, if only I could hear that last chord better. Yeah. You gotta drown out the orchestra there. Even if it's ugly. Yes. That's not ugly at all. That's beautiful. It may sound ugly to Minji under your ear, but it's absolutely beautiful. Is that not beautiful? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. This happens all the time in Elgar and Beethoven sonatas. I just recorded all the Beethoven sonatas at Oberlin last week, and you can't be afraid to make an ugly sound at times because it doesn't always translate to ugliness in the audience. Anyway, I know it's past 2:45, and my gosh, we have to go to a commercial break now. So, thank you everybody for being here.